Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. With the World Championship just 2 weekends away, OpTic takes us believe they still have a chance to actually walk away with the big one, but Rambo was not happy at all about the way they played certain situations last weekend, and also with some of their decision making when it comes to the mindset of the team. Very much enjoyed to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I greatly appreciate it. Really up to the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that one. Plenty to discuss today. Not sure if this video's gone live yet actually from Timp and Kenny doing the mukbang. I'm pretty sure I did one with Doug not that long ago as well, so looking forward to watching this one when it goes live. Speaking of Doug, I think either this will be an outro clip for this video or tonight's video, depending on which one's longer or shorter, to try and even the length, because this honestly was phenomenal. Doug was playing, I guess, some sort of tourney mode here. I guess pretty much a lot of these teams right now are trying to prepare for the last chance qualifier. I believe Spinner Spence even said from the CDL there was going to be an update on Challenger's format either late last week, which of course is long gone, or early this week, which is also long gone, and seemingly that update has not arrived. They were going to do an update apparently on the Challenger's format, potentially changing things with regard to the LCQ or like everything in general about the last chance qualifying the World Championship that no one's really happy about right now from the Challenger side. They've left it so long that a lot of the players are just kind of resigned to their fate at this point, and Doug, for example, right here is basically just believing in Clayster as well, and all the other players down there that aren't automatically qualified, and there's only 4 teams worldwide that are automatically qualified, that effectively they just have to win the last chance qualifier if they just want to make it to champs, which is a crazy format, but yeah, don't believe it's going to happen. And right here he is playing some sort of tournament, match, scrim, whatever the case might be, and he 3-0'd these guys while ordering a pizza mid-map. So yeah, Doug just built different, there's no doubt about it. I think it was the Call of Duty Agent Am finals, it turns out, right here, and as Doug says, good luck on Sunday, right? So I'm pretty sure the LCQ is, I guess, going to be this upcoming weekend, and that's still no update from the CDL at all on this one, given the fact that they've had probably a month to figure this out after all the backlash. So, it's just vintage stuff, to be honest. Now let's talk about the actual major itself, because this was good. It's got to give a lot of credit to New York, I think, for actually putting on the event the way they did. And we really could have done with another major this season, let's be honest. Major 4, Major 5 would have been nice. Of course, we could have had all these storylines at Major 5 instead, but look, we only have 4 majors this year. Maybe they can fix it next time around. Los Angeles Thieves, they win the championship. Can they go back-to-back? We talked about that yesterday, the possibility of that one. Now let's talk about the World Championship then. So these are the players that are going to be attending, 20 from the US. I think also this includes Accuracy as well in this, because Accuracy is a US citizen. I wonder if he kind of would want to represent a different flag if he had one on his jersey. 6 players from England, 2 from Canada only. Kind of surprising there's only 2 from Canada here, which I'm guessing are, well, they've got to be the OpTic guys, right, of Dashi and Illy. There also would be Asim and Gunless, but they didn't make it this season, right? And of course, Pred from Australia, CleanX from Denmark, Hydra from France, and then I think someone in the replies thought this was the Greek flag, but it's the Scottish flag for Cammy. So those are the players representing all these different countries this year. Thought it was kind of cool, but at the same time, it's kind of sad really to look at this and think about the fact that back in the day, the amount of different countries that would be represented at, of course, it's the playoffs nowadays, it's not really the World Championship, but as it used to be, we used to have full French teams, full German teams, of course, used to come along, and the Spanish community really is the big one that we've lost the last few years with not having a Spanish CDL franchise, especially because the Vegas spot next year is going to go to Paris Legion, and yet there's really no expansion. I was kind of hoping that Paris would get bought out and it would just become the Madrid team or something, but that's not going to happen for quite some time. So the Spanish scene, despite being so good in Black Ops 4 and in previous years, has eventually been lost. It's pretty sad to see, to be honest. Hopefully it'll make a resurgence in coming years, but yeah, I've just got to hope for that one, to be honest, because that community's so passionate, it's a shame what's really happened for the last few years. Now, speaking of the major, this is actually a rather positive sign. The viewership at Major 4 was much better than we've seen for quite some time. These numbers are rather different to some of the numbers that some people saw. For example, this Toronto OpTic game, some people were sending me screenshots of when they saw this game at 140k. Personally, I only saw it at about 115k, maybe 120, not exactly sure. They reckon here over at, what exactly is this called, esportscharts.com, that it is 115k for that series, and FaZe OpTic was about 150k. So I think that's including maybe Zoomer's co-stream, maybe the fact that, okay, it's the CDL channel, but also the Call of Duty channel co-streams it, stuff like that. I think maybe that's what they're including there, but still, the fact of the matter is that 3 different series from OpTic got over 100k, as did New York versus Thieves. Both of their series pretty much touched 100k as well. A 60 average viewership, so far in excess of what we see for these regular online qualifying matches. Look, the fact of the matter is, the qualification matches in general are pretty dull. It doesn't matter if they're online or on LAN, really. It's better if they're on LAN for competitive integrity and stuff like that, but for viewership numbers, it really doesn't make that much difference, right? We saw back in World War II, Black Ops 4, I don't know, Infinite Warfare, whatever, these kind of qualification, regular league play seeding matches don't really do that much in terms of viewership. People are really interested when it actually comes to the event. So what they've got to realize is more events, less online matches, matches, less just league seeding matches in general would be preferable. They're going to want to do the regular stage matches anyway because they're good for kind of like viewer time over the course of the season. They keep things ticking over week by week, but you can't afford to have a month break and only have like 4 major events in the season plus champs. They've got to pump those numbers up, baby. Oh, hopefully they will next season. But I'm sure they saw this and thought, okay, yeah, this is how we've got to do it from now on, and prioritize these type of events over other ones. Of course, OpTic did get the result they were looking for. Top 4 still, I'm pretty sure they'll take that, all things considered, where they could have been going into the weekend with a very poor online performance, then going in and getting top 4, making Championship Sunday anyway. They beat, of course, Minnesota Rokkr. They took down Boston Breach. They clutched up Game 5, round 11 up against the Toronto guys, and then they lost to FaZe in a decider match for their tournament run. And Rambo's been talking about their run on stream and his frustrations with how things have been going behind the scenes. First of all, this specific moment right here, this 1 versus 3, it actually wasn't this one I think he was frustrated about, even though this was also a frustrating one, but it was also the Game 5 one, right, on the Bacage, where Bance clutched that 1 versus 3 in a pretty much impossible situation where he had to plant the bomb, and we'll see Rambo here very frustrated that the team even let him get the bomb down and get away with this and clutch the 1 versus 2. But also a couple of other insights here actually in terms of the way the team's been performing. So first of all, saying that like, look, they still believe they can win the World Championship. They've got the potential. They've got a bit of momentum behind them as well now after a decent run here. But like, he's not been happy at all with the way their practice has been going the last couple of weeks. Their 2 weeks of practice, he says, before this major was some of the worst they've had all season long, and also going on to say that their mindset, despite having Illy back, is not really where it needs to be. He hinted about this actually like a couple of weeks ago now, where he was effectively implying that they didn't seem to be really putting all the commitment into the game, as in like they weren't, like the start of the season, they were getting there on time, putting all this time into scrims and practice, all this type of stuff. And he was implying a couple of weeks ago, even after Illy came back, that they hadn't quite got that back yet, right? They hadn't really got their mojo of like the full out grind, final push type mentality, wasn't really back in their team yet, which I think was kind of surprising him as to why that wasn't the case. Maybe Vanguard just kind of taken its toll on these guys, but it was a similar story with OpTic at Chicago last year, where they started out stage 5 rather strong, and then they beat FaZe in that match, and then they kind of took their foot off the gas a little bit, and then they fell short when it came down to the World Championship, right? And like, I wonder if Rambo's thinking, look, I need to manage this a little bit better, because of course they can't afford this to happen again if they're not really fully committed to the process right now, which seems to be what Rambo is kind of implying here. And yes, look, it's the final push before the World Championship. You'd imagine they turn it around, but yeah, not necessarily a good sign if Rambo's sitting there kind of concerned about the team actually giving 100% effort into, well, doing everything they need to do, watching VOD, like doing everything outside of the game that it's going to take. If they actually want to win the World Championship this year, are they just satisfied with their 1 championship so far this season? I kind of doubt it, but they've got to buck their ideas up very quickly indeed if they want to walk away with this one, because it's only a couple of weekends away.
Toronto versus OpTic match was the troll. We gave up a 3v1. Not only did we give up a 3v1, he had to plant the bomb. He had to plant the bomb! So we got a couple of days of practice in, which were good and bad. And then, for whatever reason, I kind of know the reason. I don't really want to speak to it. But the last 2 weeks of practice up until the event in New York were like probably some of the worst practice we had all year. And not really in terms of like our play itself, just more so like our mentality and how we were going about. And I can pinpoint specific issues, but I'm not really going to speak to it because it's more of like a general thing. Like it was just really like what is going on here? Like our process, like we got Ender back and we're not even like super, like our process just wasn't what it used to be basically. And I was really like hoping that was going to be kind of the thing. That's what makes me the most confident going to champs, is that our search. So like us group of guys, if we can find a way to like go through everything we talked about and have good practice for the next 2 weeks, I'm very excited about our chances to winning probably one of the hardest tournaments to win in Call of Duty history.
Now, the other thing I did want to mention there that Rambo didn't touch in those clips, but was kind of talked about on stream, of course, were the vetoes. There were the veto decisions that were made last weekend. Something to note, actually, here on the Berlin versus Bacage debate that was being talked about is that, of course, you guys can see on the bottom left-hand side, like, OpTic vetoed Berlin every single series. I'm pretty sure they played this weekend. They just decided not to play it. And as you can see on the course of the whole season, they do like to veto Berlin quite a lot, but this is just this weekend specific. They played Bacage. They were 1-3 on that one. 1-0 on Gavutu, 2-1 on Tuscan, and on Berlin they of course decided not to play it at all. Now the Bacage versus Berlin debate was quite a big one really for OpTic. Should they have played Berlin? Should they have played Bacage? The disadvantage of playing Berlin in OpTic's shoes in this situation was that they didn't have a good seed, right? They came into this tournament with a lower seeding because they had a bad qualification in their qualification matches. Therefore, whoever they played on the Berlin, if they did decide to pick it and go for it, then they would have probably been starting on the bad side of Berlin. And the bad side is definitely less advantageous than the good side. It's not an overwhelming disadvantage, but it is pretty harsh in terms of like the win rate of the team on the good side is pretty high. And for OpTic, I think that's especially true. So I guess they were thinking because we're the lower seed, if we play Berlin, we're going to start on the bad side of the hard point. It's just not worth it to do it, which I can understand that philosophy to a degree, but still playing Bacage as much as they did, I still feel like was questionable, right? Choosing it against FaZe is like, I mean, look, even if you were going to start on the bad side of Berlin against FaZe, I still think they have a better chance to win that than they do playing Bacage against FaZe, to be honest. So that's the concern. And of course, the other way around is for OpTic though, is that going into the World Championship with the number 2 seed, they will have that kind of seeding advantage over whoever they play. So they can probably get away with picking Berlin more or playing Berlin more, allowing it through the vetoes, just because if it does get picked into them, then they're still going to start on the good side probably because they have the higher seed based on the way the kind of the vetoes work effectively within the teams themselves. So that might be an indication as to why they played a little bit of Bacage more than we might expect them to, and this upcoming weekend or the upcoming World Championship, they might well go back to Berlin a little bit more. But I still feel like if they were really comfortable on Berlin, they would have just gone for it anyway, right? I think a lot of teams would say, look, we're good at Berlin. We don't care if you're going to get an extra 10, 15 points off the first hard points because you started on good side. We're just going to outplay you for the rest of the game. So that might well be a reason, but it still feels like to me that OpTic aren't so confident on that map, but they're certainly going to need to be. You need to have a deep map pool here if you want to make a deep run of the World Championship, and also if you want to win the finals, right? Like, you got to think about that. If you want to win the finals, you've got to be good at practically every single map in the game. So, like, you know, obviously, I'm sure Rambo's thinking about that one and working on it, and at least going to be grinding, right? We know this guy is committed to Call of Duty more than anyone, like any 2v2, 3v3 Charles. He was on last night, and that was obviously a key talking point earlier on this season with regard to the mindset thing. And yes, they're still confident they can win champs, but there was this talk about the fact that, okay, Dashy, he hadn't been late to scrims in however long. He was maybe late one time and he had to, like, I don't know, Rambo find him or something. I think that was the case one time or another. And it seemed like that was kind of getting into a good groove there. And maybe Illy leaving the team and stepping out as he did for a couple of months, they kind of threw off that kind of infrastructure and that mindset and the kind of grind that they were up to. And they've kind of been struggling to get that back right. I'm sure Rambo feels pretty frustrated, it seems, that he can't extract that from the team maybe as he would like to. And he was even indicating in other clips that, like, he's been getting pretty frustrated this year, maybe with Vanguard in general, and maybe that's kind of what's holding this team back, right? But if that doesn't change over the next couple of weeks, it's hard to see them winning the World Championship because every team at this point is putting in maximum time for the final push of the season. Bryce reckons that maybe Toronto Ultra are going to win the World Championship. That would be a great storyline if they can somehow complete the run. Like, I'd be so happy for Bance if he does do it, because Bance has been, unfortunately, the Silver Surfer for quite some years. Came second at the World Championship twice now. Last year, of course, was devastating, even back in Black Ops 3 as well. He was on the Splice team that came second. He's been playing great in the latter half of this year as well. So I would love to see Banter and Toronto get the job done, but to do that, they'll have to beat OpTic probably in the very first round of play. Just to look at this then, just as we were mentioning seedings, these are the seedings for the major. So FaZe are number 1, they play New York number 8. So effectively the team with the higher seeding does get the veto advantage in the series, in the match that they play, at least in terms of picking sides on the map and stuff like that, but it might not be an overwhelming advantage. Like, if you're New York, you're probably not minding too much that you're the 8th seed here, because I mean, look, if you're good at and you're confident in your hard points, you're probably going to be able to overturn disadvantages like that regardless. But if FaZe and OpTic technically as the number 1, number 2 seed will have a slightly beneficial situation. Earlier on this year, it was actually a massive advantage because you just got to straight up ban like whatever control you wanted, because Berlin wasn't in the game yet, so you just got to choose whether you played Gavutu or Tuscan, which is a big advantage. Now there's 3 maps, that's less of an advantage, but it still does count to some degree. And just to finish out with this from OpTic Tactics as well, which one would you choose, left or right? Kind of Advanced Warfare, Black Ops 3, Infinite Warfare, or Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops 2, Black Ops 4, I guess, kind of jetpacks or boots on the grounds. Maybe this is a hot take, I don't know, but I'm picking left every single day of the week here. Like, honestly, Advanced Warfare, lots of fun. Black Ops 3, best COD ever, most fun COD ever. Black Ops 2 is great as well, but Infinite Warfare also underrated in my opinion. Like, hardpoint in that game after the changes was honestly fantastic. Like, the maps honestly were a lot better than I think people give them credit for. The NV4 was so much fun to use. Like, what a sexy gun. So, I don't know, I'm taking left. May well call me faded for that one, but very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new as always. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time.
Yes, I'd like to add, can I add 2 dozen garlic nuts to the order with a side of ranch, blue cheese, and can I also get some extra marinara?
Yeah, one was glass. He was like mezzo side of time.
He's not in team. We pushed off.
Yeah, can I get get some extra marinara sauce?
Yo,
orange and P2. Orange and P2.
Orange? Did he go to orange?
Yeah, orange.
D2,
yeah, orange,
D2,
orange,
D2.
Orange lino. Orange lino.
Yes.
Nice.
D2.
One with
I was weak.
P2.
Absolutely, really weak.
Yeah, P2.
Yeah.
Be
Oh,
fine.
I
Blue
trolled.
cheese and
My
ranch
bad,
on the
my
side,
bad.
please.
He's weak.
I should have held my iron. Yeah, so
Only
there's one
iron's
outer
ready.
door and there's one low pit. Yeah,
Yeah,
pinch,
yeah,
everyone.
people
Okay, good. So yeah, just 2 dozen
you
garlic
still
nuts
play.
and we
Me
should
and
be
Joker are
good.
gonna pinch, okay?
Outer door. Outer stair. Outer
What's up?
ledge.
Yeah, I'm gonna get some
bad?
garlic nuts with that too.
Yeah, I'm gonna stun the dub pinch. I'm stunning dub. I stun dub for you,
Uh,
dub.
2 dozen.
You're stunned.
Fine, I am.
One of those zig either.